Wow.
Hello and welcome to Herein Lies the Peace of God in the Awakening Together Sanctuary. The Awakening Together Sanctuary is an assembly of equals joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self. Within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. The host of Herein Lies the Peace of God is Reverend Jacquelyn and Eckert, the President and Minister of Awakening Together. Our co-host is your favorite anarchist preacher, Reverend Glen and Ganaway, integral scholar. The Course in Miracles says this about discerning one truth. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
Sing glory, glory, hallelujah. How wonderful thy holy name. Now I can see with God's own vision, and I see peace instead of pain. Yes, I see peace instead of pain. I can see peace instead of pain.
Wee doggies.
Hey, that's my line.
Well, we can always have another wee doggies.
Wee doggies.
That's great. And just to say thank you again, Shauna, for leading us in with higher love.
And I want to give a big shout out to Reverend Glen Ganaway. It's his birthday today. Wee doggies!
It sure
Happy
is.
Birthday.
It sure is. I made it around the sun again.
Yay! One more time.
I know. That's how we count things. You live 365 days, and you get to live. It's called one.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. I love that. I love that today. How you doing, Jackie?
I'm good. I've had a momentary scare. I couldn't find a cat. I'd been outside all day with the door open. I'm like, where's the cat? So I've just rushed into. She's here.
Okay. I know it's funny. You just can't think. Your mind. That split. We were talking about in class this week the idea of a split mind. That it's actually a lot more. It's a lot more common idea than we give the credit for. That split mind, not being able to be one-minded, one task, do one thing.
Yeah.
Remember all the 90s about how valuable it was to multitask?
And how wrong that was?
You remember how multitasking was the big thing? It's like everything was falling apart, nothing got really done because everybody was doing everything poorly,
Yeah.
I remember all
Well,
that.
I don't know, that part of it's changed, but yeah.
Well, I mean, a little bit. You do a little bit yeah. But we've been talking about defenselessness around our house this week, and it's wild how this Friday and the lesson and Wednesday, all these things, conspire together, like you always say, to take us all on this journey together. What's the lesson today is. Oh gosh, I've already forgotten the lesson.
That's
the
right.
lesson today was I will not value what is valueless. And we're going to talk about defensiveness today, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So, and in the course, we're on the regular teaching. It's on chapter 13. It's talk about how our negative emotions can run our lives, running away from our own negative powerful emotions, that negative motivation is what we're doing. So in defense, and talking about defense on Friday, you know. So apparently I have as you know, I have quite a little practice every day walking to work and back. That's been my spiritual practice
Yeah.
these last few weeks. What are you working with?
Uh, I don't know. Things have just seemed to be shifting and changing for me. I don't know. I really don't know. I can say that things are just so different. It's like I got a new car. That's what's taking up my whole week. Yay!
That's all new car smells. You know, those are
Yeah. But everything is just. I don't know. There's not been as big a need to frantically get things done.
Oh yeah.
And I'm quite sure things are falling by the wayside, but nothing's blown up yet. So
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah. So it's a different pace. A different pace has descended upon me, and I appreciate that. There's with a different attitude comes a different pace, and I'm not quite sure where the attitude came from. I was on vacation, and I mean that's certainly helpful. But when I went out into the world this time, which it is for me, I live in this 500 square feet here, and don't get out much. So when I went out into the world this time, I was pleasantly surprised to see that I was able to practice much of what we will talk about tonight. Certainly what I plan to talk about in terms of defenselessness being basically the same thing as trust. Surprise, surprise, since everything rests on trust.
Yeah.
But
that's what she finally says at the end. She goes, again, let me point you back to the first item on the list.
Well, you read all the way to the end. No, yay, I'm so impressed.
Okay, I read ahead. I really did. But she keeps reminding us of that. This is all at the this teaching learning relationship. You're usually you're often helpful in reminding us who she's talking to. The person or the mind or the mindset or the understanding of the person that she's speaking to directly. Now she's describing a lot of things and she doesn't dumb it down any, but she does. The surface of it is pretty straightforward to talking directly to somebody who is very doubtful.
That's a one way to put it. That's an excellent way to put it. Actually, it's so funny to see it from that. It's this book is written like if you walked up to a guy on the street and said, "Hey, I want to tell you about defenselessness." This is what you would say. Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate that. There's certainly a place for that. And it must be here because here we are talking about it.
Well, I think it does a real good job. It's one reason why I like integral theory a lot too. Is the course is really giving me, and I think integral does this as well, a way to talk about the elephant in the room, a way to bring up and frame something, to we can talk about it and see it and examine it for our own selves without it being so triggered or charged, or we give permission to look at something. Like this week, it was looking at the cornerstone that the ego's thought system is built on. That's what I'm going to talk about on Sunday. How available that is that to you. How do you at what practice do you need to develop in which the standard or the way we operate is to, I want to continually examine the cornerstone on which the ego's thought system is based, which is technically true, but what does that look like in a regular practice?
Well, frankly, I find that fascinating because my tendency, at least these days, is to turn away from that because the ego is stark raving mad. I mean, I'm not going to flog it or anything, but it's stark raving mad. So I don't really have any desire anymore to pick it apart,
Oh yeah.
And I think that's one of the changes that's happening for me is the recognition that if all is well all the time, which it is, uh, then there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to say. There's nothing to look at. It's like, let's be mad at that one, please.
Yeah, I don't have time.
Let's make sure, please. I'm just not interested,
dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather dance. I'd rather hold a baby. I'd rather,
Yeah. Well, and as you may have heard Regina Dawn Eckert say, and I've certainly heard her say, talk about things not being worth leaving the beach for, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just, it's like, yeah, why would I? I mean, even if you're just momentarily, you're like, you get it right away. And so for me, that's, you can see how all of these characteristics of the teachers of God are founded on that knowledge. Yeah. All is well all the time. Doesn't need my help.
But
what else is there to say, right?
How we get there, that journey to that understanding, because I did not wake up with that understanding. I wasn't raised with that understanding, and I don't interact with most people on the street. I had some great for my birthday lunch. I went and treated myself to oxtail soup at a local Spanish restaurant that I really, really, really love. I love oxtail.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds interesting.
Ossobuco. So I treated myself, and I just forgot what I was going to say.
Well, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I had to tell a story about Ossobuco. I had to, just had to get this out of my head. But
you said you don't know that you'd start with the man on the street about all is well all the time.
Oh no, yeah. Well, it's like, how do you get that journey to that place is worth doing. And that's what I mean. It's like that how we live at the ability to casually examine what we think, what's happening, and where we're, where we want to go. Are we going along? Whose flow are we going along with? Would be another way of saying it. Because there's definitely like some kind of like the pressure and pressure from the world to behave and act and conform and perform in certain ways that outside of those ways are threaten violence, right? So we know there's a way of behaving or a way of existing in the world that we're really encouraged to go along with. And there's also this spiritual coercion that we have in groups like this and in my home and things in which our friends support us and don't let us get away with poor thinking, and that love us into the next understanding, So that's. But it's taken me a while since my birthday. So it's taken me this long to look at this and say, this is what I want. This is valuable. This is valuable to me. This is what. This is what.
Sorry. let me mute.
That's good. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. So that's to convince somebody that defenselessness is a good way to be. You might not want to like start there. That but to understand that it's like the if you could say, I know I have a way of not maybe measuring my progress, or a way of looking at am I exhibiting a defenseless posture?
Yeah.
When you encounter me, am I defenseless?
Yeah, and if not, what is it that I'm protecting?
Yeah. To approach that is a useless journey. It's a lot of a lot of spinning around, like you said. I don't have time to really go back in my past and understand what happened and all of that, and there's some value in that. So you may really need to find out all of this, but take it from somebody who went through years of psychotherapy that it's this is faster. This is definitely faster.
Yeah, well, like we just said, drop it like a hot potato, right?
Yeah. Speaking of higher love, why don't you read for us?
Okay, I'm reading Defenselessness then, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, since that's what
we've been talking about that.
Let's start there.
It's really short,
It is very short.
Packed.
We may get on to further characteristics, but we will see how that goes, huh? All right, and of course, this is from the from A Course in Miracles manual for teachers. This is defenselessness. I'm sorry, I was going to try and identify this, but I don't have any identifying information in front of me. So, God's teachers have learned how to be simple. They have no dreams that need defense against the truth. They do not try to make themselves. Their joy comes from their understanding who created them. And does what God created need defense? No one can become an advanced teacher of God until he fully understands that defenses are but foolish guardians of mad illusions. The more grotesque the dream, the fiercer and more powerful its defenses seem to be. Yet, when the teacher of God finally agrees to look past them, he finds that nothing was there. Slowly at first, he lets himself be undeceived, but he learns faster as his trust increases. It is not danger that comes when defenses are laid down. It is safety. It is peace. It is joy. And it is God.
Thank you. Doesn't that sound a little bit like poetry?
Yes,
You know?
beautiful.
It is like what she ends with, it and it is God. You know, what we see, what we experience. But I like how, you know, the first sentence, you know, you think you know what she's going to do with the defenselessness. You know, she's going to start with simplicity and end in trust. You know, which is just this wonderful way of building this bouquet in this paragraph. God's teachers have learned how to be simple, so the model is simplicity, not complexity. You know, the model is approachable. The model is simple. The model is understandable. The model is giveawayable. The model is teachable. You know, so it's simple. It's human. You know, it's something everybody can do. That's what you say. Oh, it's simple. You know, which it kind of implies everybody can do it. You know, and everybody kind of naturally does it. You know, so I like how she starts there. She goes, no. You work too hard at creating all this stuff. You work way too hard. There's somebody already creating the world. You know, we don't have to we're not in charge of creating the world. You know, just resign from all of this. You know, if I know all about efforting because I'm a planner and I definitely like to try to create the world I want to, you know, live in and everything like that. But it's a little different thing she is trying to get us to understand here. So this idea to be simple, that our dreams, to know that our dreams, our lives are aligned with the will of God. You know, that God's will and my will are the same. Therefore, my will complies, is compatible, is supported by the laws of God, the laws that I see existing in the world today. What am I fighting against? What am I trying not to happen? My will in the world that's set up to reflect my will? And it's this dichotomy of living in the creation rather than, and living as the creation rather than living as the full creator. It means that I have a purpose. This understanding to me is this understanding of I am part of the living laws of God. I'm living in this moment here, necessary component. I have a purpose in reality. It's simple and connected. It's, to me, this is speaking directly to authentic expression, like this authentic expression, rather than a performance or like a spokesmodel. Familiar with remember the competitions in their early aughts about their spokesmodels? They had to do all kinds of things. They had to be able to walk and talk and show products and have opinions. You know, they were well-rounded. You know, it's the
literally, right?
Smart and beautiful, and you know, all these things, intelligent. You know, you have to, everybody's trying to create. Everybody's encouraged often in the world to create this spokesmodel, you know, for themselves. And in the Course in Miracles terms, she calls those ego ideals. So we talk about that, talk about the ideals, idealized, self that we're somehow not living up to. And who we really are doesn't need defense. This spokesmodel does need defense. Okay, she needs a PR, she needs all these things. But who we are doesn't need anything, because the real cannot be destroyed. We can't change God. We can't change me. I don't want to. I want to express. I want to share. I want to expand. That's the will of God. That I can participate in. But we foolishly defend what is false. You know, he goes, "How dare you speak to me that way? Don't you know who I am?" You know, the truth doesn't need that at all. Doesn't need that at all. So she calls. I love this idea of a foolish guardian. You know, a foolish guardian of mad illusions. The mad illusions are mine. And when I put up my dukes, I've got like these foolish guardians. Who wants a foolish guardian? An incompetent body, you know, what do they got? Those politicians have like bodyguards and stuff. Do you want an incompetent bodyguard? You know, a foolish guardian. You know, how did you get that job? You know, got that job because I got that job as a foolish guardian because I was mad and I'm angry and I'm triggered that you're going to find out that I'm vulnerable or that I'm not perfect or something like that. That you're going to peer through my spokesmodel. You know, that's what I'm defending against. You know, so it was nice to her to come out and do these, to see these defenses as foolish guardians. You know, and to see people that are defending, it's like doing the defense stuff as foolish guardians, and I can let go of that earlier. I don't have to pile on. I don't have to assuage or do anything. I can see somebody doing trying to do the impossible. So she asks us to look past these grotesque dreams. We have mad illusions, foolish guardians, and grotesque dreams. She is not painting a pretty picture of like, oh, I don't want to, you know, that's what we're defending. This suffering is, our own suffering is what we're defending.
Yeah.
And she asks us to look beyond it. Let's look past, look over, look past is beginning to be, and forgiveness is beginning to be a real theme. She says it in many different ways. And if we do that, she says, we'll see it as nothing. And meaning like it's like not even worth paying attention to, not even worth getting, because you see right through it and go, oh, whatevs. So these are beauty standards and IQ tests and, and the idea of unskilled labor. We have to set this up, to defend. You can't do that. So at the final part, she says, all this is good. All this is simple. But we'll only learn it at the speed of trust. We'll only learn it as quickly as we're able to trust. What do we trust? Our own inner teacher, our own inner knowing. It's this choice to lay down defenses. And that looks really, really, really hard. It does for me as a cis white guy, 6'2", so, or 6'1". I'd love to be 6'2", because it would be better, right? It would be totally better. And don't you dare say, I'm not 6'2", because I'll get mad, right? So it's this choice to lay down defenses. There isn't a danger in reality. The safety, peace, and joy are here, as in, I'm not pretending. It's really here. I'm not performing joy. There's an authentic expression happening. I'm not trying to manage your response. I'm not trying to manage the laws of God. I'm not trying to manage the world. I'm not I didn't create myself. I don't have to manage myself. The creation already happened. I need to live with this authentic expression, this expansion of the experience of the love of God in three-dimensional form. So the idea that I heard in my head was, this is a real promise that we can experience God or reality. And what I heard was, when we reach out in trust reaches back. When we reach out and just, it's like, you say it's this way, and trust reaches back with some grace, or some understanding or soothing or whatever it is that we may require. It's built on trust. And what is above the door at the Delphi temple Know thyself. Trust yourself. But to get to that place is learning what doesn't work, is to be able to really look at where we got our dukes up, where we got all the triggers are, where we need to, comply and perform in order not to experience a hypothetical experience of violence or whatever. It's all the same ball of wax, and we call that humanity, but it's really, I think we're much happier. I think humans are much happier than we actually let on, because Yolanda knows this. I used to embarrass her a lot. We loved to waltz, so a waltz would come on the Muzak in the grocery store, and so I would waltz with Yolanda in the grocery store and things like that. We got so comfortable, and upstairs in our grocery store they play like 50s, 60s music, and sometimes they'll play like 80s music in the organic section upstairs. And they'll play it really loud. So what? And nobody's up there because this is, I don't know, nobody's up there. So Yolanda and I are singing, just singing and everything like that. And we come around the corner on another couple singing and everything like that. And we were all four in the aisles singing and laughing and dancing and everything like that. You remember that, Yolanda? It was like, that's being human. That's the joy and existence. Like you were saying, you can't talk me out of this. You can't talk me out of it. And I don't need to defend anything. And it's what I tell a lot of my students is you can give somebody an explanation, and you may want them to have it, but nobody deserves an explanation. You don't have to give. You can like what you like without anybody needing to approve of it in any way. You like and do what you like, and you don't owe anybody an explanation. It comes as news to a lot of people, that I can be me without a need to justify it. That way there's nothing to defend.
Yeah.
It's the other side of that see through it thing for me. The other side. What did you think about when you were doing that?
Well, first of all, I think what you had to share was lovely. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I loved. I took notes. In fact, I love that you said we only learn it at the speed of trust.
Yeah.
And I think Yolanda should write us a song called that if she hasn't already done that.
I wrote a song about it. That's usually what comes out of her mouth back.
Yeah. I also really appreciated your point, which I think is a central point here. Your point that you said there's someone already creating, or who created the world, and for me, again, that's a big part of what's been going on for me, and a big part of what's being said here. It says that here, of course, it says they do not try to make themselves. Their joy comes from understanding who created them, and does what God created need defense. And I think, again, as you pointed out in your teaching, I think that takes us right back to the title of our program. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And I am finding that to be true. That I realize that, and I think defense can be used loosely in that sense, because it's like, and does what God created need to be changed? And the answer is no, it doesn't need my help. Doesn't need my help a bit. Doesn't need me to get in there and tinker with it, manipulate it, and try and, convince. No, it doesn't need my input. It absolutely does not need my input. And that's, for me, that has grown out of the trust factor, right? Knowing all is well all the time without my help or input. I mean, it's like, again, how could all wellness need anything from me? Need defending, need modification, need nothing. It needs nothing from me. Um, and again, I think that goes back to that first line. God's teachers have learned how to be simple. Look, it doesn't need your help, so just step back. Like you said, you don't have to go back and go 3 years of therapy, or just step back and let things be what they are. If you get in there, you're going to mess it up. So just step back and watch. And if I'm doing anything else, I'm confused about what I am. I think that I'm a character in the world that, got to struggle and, get you out of the way and fight for every little scrap that you're either going to believe that or you're not.
It's a business model, though.
It's definitely a business model, right? Yeah. But as we've learned, it's something genuine, right? Those are not the people who are actually getting ahead. Those are not the people who are actually prospering.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are actually prospering are those who are doing, as you said, extending themselves, giving themselves away. And the message really couldn't be any simpler than this. So again, as you pointed to, I think in your introduction when we were chatting a while ago. Now, what was she going to say? Okay. I don't know what I was going to say. So we'll assume that wasn't to be said.
Looks like it's in the air tonight.
Apparently, man, that is gone.
Did you like the Foolish Guardians?
The Foolish Guardians.
Foolish Guardians, the Mad Illusions, and the Grotesque.
Yes. No one can become an advanced teacher of God until he fully understands that defenses are but foolish guardians of mad illusions. And it's like, again, it's so simple. It's like, do you know what you're defending? Just like you said, Glenn, you are defending your right to suffer. Now, if that's not mad, I don't know what is, right? It's like, no, you insist on being this standalone project that you're going to work on till the day you kick the bucket. It talk about foolishness, and where does that get you? Nowhere. It gets you, does it get you? It might get you to the grave a little bit quicker, but if that's your goal, then you're doing good. But there's no gain in that, regardless of what the thinking mind, the egoic mind promises. There's no gain in that. There's nothing to be gained anywhere. That again, it's a business model. Like you said, that whole idea of something to be gained is in itself ridiculous.
It's against the laws of God. Nothing works that way. There's
nothing works that way.
There's no nature that works that way. It doesn't
Absolutely.
It doesn't ever work. The tree is not fighting to get the air, or the tree isn't like.
Well, it's not struggling to pop those little blooms out.
Yeah, or like I had this many blooms, or these birds and stuff live in my branches. How many people live in your branches? Like that. He goes, oh, and those oak trees, man. Have you heard of what they? It's like, it's just absolutely.
It just doesn't work like that. Yeah.
No.
Well, and so again, back to the simplicity. So if we realize that, and I wrote this in regard to another one today. Let's see. It is all a beautiful array of happenings displayed for our pleasure. Are you paying attention? And that's the only question that I need to ask is, am I paying attention? And if I'm defending, if I'm manipulating, if I'm, worried about how I'm going to show up, I'm not paying attention. I've gotten momentarily confused about who I am. But it's a slippery slope. Once you take that first step, off you go, until you bring yourself back again. Let me just see what else here. I have not spoken on. So sweet. This just touches my heart. Yet when the teacher of God finally agrees to look past them, defenses, he finds that nothing was there. So, I had planned before the cat went missing to look more closely at lesson 153 in my defenselessness, my safety lies. But I think the same point is being made there as is being made in this short little paragraph. If I get this one point, then I can just lean back and just float down the river, right? I mean, there's no...
Maybe, right? Like, if somebody's
no, absolutely. And I'm not talking, so I appreciate what you said. Absolutely, I can do that, regardless of the circumstances, regardless if my cat's gone missing,
right.
If my new car gets wrecked, if my family dies, regardless. Those are my choices to get in there and try to manipulate. See, it's whatever shows up is absolutely perfect. Whatever shows up is a gift.
Couldn't be.
Am I able to recognize it in that moment as a gift? Maybe, maybe not. But the truth of it is, whether I recognize it as a gift or not, it is a gift. And again, I'll go back to what I wrote with Inner Wisdom on. This was on patience, which is a few ones down. But it's like to reject the gift of what's happening now is to create suffering. The one who watches does not suffer. However, the one who watches is not the one that rejects the gift. The gift is given by beingness itself. In reality, there is no one to accept or reject, nor to give or receive the gift. It's all a beautiful array of happenings displayed for our pleasure. Are you paying attention? So whatever shows up, shows up. What else did you say that? Actually, she said it, and then I picked up on it when you said it here at the end. It is not danger that comes when defenses are laid down. It is safety. It is peace. It is joy. And it is God. So what comes when defenses are laid down? Again, it's perfect allowance. God is perfect allowance. Love is perfect allowance. You and I are perfect allowance. And all these mad defenses, these these foolish guardians of the mad illusions, do is detract our attention away from that. Is to just, as we've been told many, many times, confuse us about what we are, right? Confuse us about what's really going on here. All we need to do with the world is go like, bring it on, baby, bring it on.
Yeah, all is good. So,
and only if I think that I'm vulnerable, only if I think that I'm something that I'm not, am I even tempted to get in there and manipulate things.
Yeah. I have to create the spokesmodel and then go attack somebody.
Yeah.
I have to go create an army. I have to create a Pentagon and a police department and everything like that, and go make sure that nobody steps out of line, and make sure that all the thing stuff and everybody's behaving the way I need them to behave in order for me to be safe.
That's right. And talk about guarding mad illusions. That's all we're doing. We're making something. It's like building sandcastles, right? You build the sandcastle and you're like, damn, that wave. Well, nobody lives in the castle. It's okay. Wasn't it fun building? I mean, so to talk about simplicity here in defenselessness is perfect.
It's disarming.
Perfect. It's not hard. Yeah. Just quit trying to manipulate people and the world. And I loved how you talked about trying to manage other people's responses. Just stop all that. Our only question is, are you accepting the gift? Are you paying attention? That's the only question. And if you're busy manipulating, again, it's time to just drop the hot potato. Just the moment you catch yourself manipulating or wishing and hoping and right? Just drop it. what is here. Because whatever is here in this moment is the gift. It is the gift, whether it's a stump toe or a sunset or a kiss smack on the mouth. It's a gift.
So why do you think we employ foolish guardians? Why do we like create foolish guardians? I think you know this, but I want to hear you. Like, why do we employ them, and why do we do this? Why do we have them foolish guardians in our lives? Why are we foolish guardians?
Well, that's interesting. Because boy, you got my curiosity up about what the right answer is.
Oh, I'm not trying to do that. I'm not putting. Oh.
So let me give you. So here's why we have foolish guardians, because we're confused about who we are. Yeah. Because we think that it's up to us to create happiness and joy and safety. And if I'm not on the lookout, then it's all going to go to hell, and I'm going to be lonely, if not dead, right? Hungry, dirty, on Skid Row, if I don't take control of this thing right now.
Right. Because control is...
Go ahead, tell me the right answer.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's the foolish guardians are guarding our desire to control, restrict, reduce, compact, compress.
Yeah, and the only reason we do that is because we're afraid what will happen if we don't.
It's totally it to me. When I get like defensive or something like that, when I have trigger. When I get defensive, I go, I'm scared.
Yeah,
that's absolute fear. I have let frighten me. Yeah, I have let now my heart is going. I'm flush. I'm now mad. Or I've got spit coming out of my mouth. Use a crosswalk in my neighborhood. It's like I'm gone. I'm just completely. I'm gone. That fear.
Me too.
Is such this fear, self-righteous indignation, being right, that edgy, for me, it's a drug. There's a pump. There's a thing that hormonally that just like happens. It's a charge and stuff like that, So.
Yeah, and I think. Well, let me interrupt you. I think that the point about being right, that self-righteous, rightness, is huge in this. I think it's so big that's a great avenue in to really practicing these things. This need to be right, this not wanting to be wrong. Is fundamental to the egoic thought system. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's attached to I'm unworthy. I don't know if it's just simply attached to the belief that I'm separate and that I've got to make my own way in the world. Get everybody else out of the way. Mm-hmm. But I think I really believe that need to not be wrong at the very least. Yeah. Is strong in most folk.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, we have professions, and there's in sports there's a whole position called defense. There's because you're trying to come over their land. It's right up there at the battle lines, and it comes from war. We already know this. And like. There are defense attorneys, mm-hmm. and there is defense strategies, and there are, we do value in this culture a vigorous defense of, and we say things like, liberty must be defended, freedom must be defended, peace must be defended. If you're not out here, with us, doing the fighting thing, then it means
Nope.
something. It means something.
If you're not for us, you're against
Uh-huh. So this we can understand this idea, and I think we really do. But how it is practiced in the world is completely normalized. Big defending. You're supposed to defend yourself. You're supposed to defend you're supposed to defend your opinion. You shouldn't be able to stand up against injustice.
And I think so. I think that points to so how do we practice? If that's something that we want to let go of, how do we practice? You keep your opinions to yourself. You drop it like a hot potato when you hear yourself going, yeah, but I only. You don't make other people wrong. You notice when you want to be the one that's right, and you let that go. I mean, we all know it's a process of letting go. So the only question is, what are we letting go of to
how soon can you
realize our defenselessness?
Yeah. How do you realize it? How do you be in the situation, and you've got somebody who's pulled all the way into the crosswalk, and because this happened to me today, so how do I say this person is telling me he is not paying attention, and let it go at that? I don't need to let him know that his not paying attention is this it means something of the other than him not paying attention. So being able to actively see myself want to do it, get the charge and turn away from it, and say, I not only do I not want to feel that way, I don't want to live in a world where that is normal. I don't want to create the culture in which we're policing living in East Germany or something like that, and telling on each other and all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, those are stories, and I'm using that as a metaphor, not as
no. But I think that's a really good point too, and has been very, very helpful to me. And for me, it's shown up in Regina's teaching of the code. It's like, not only do I want to sit here and simmer in this ugly sauce, I don't want to feed that back into the collective. I want to wash that from the collective. In fact, Regina uses an image in Gentle Healing. She talks about thinking of ourselves like, I don't know if we're the washing machine, but it's like people are throwing balls of darkness at you, and you're grabbing them and throwing them in the washing machine. It's like, yay! Yeah. I mean, that's what I want to be doing. That's what I want to be doing. So I want to be standing there in the face of whatever
healing mode.
One might call insults or whatever, being overlooked or whatever it is, and catch that and throw it in my washing machine. I mean, that's the service that I want to provide to the collective consciousness, right?
Yeah, I love that image of a washing machine. What came to me when you were speaking was a leach field. Do you know what a leach field is? So it's like it's this natural way to get rid of waste.
Oh, I did not know what a leach field was. Thank you.
It sewage. It processes sewage and turns it back into use. It cleans up sewage. It's rural. A lot of rural. If you're not connected to city water or things like that, you have to use a leach field. So, and the leach field is planted with things that actually soak up and so they don't spoil the groundwater. So we're like the plants in a leach field, taking society stuff and processing it back into health and useful.
Oh, sweet, into like fresh air.
I know. Well, so you just made me think of that. Yeah. So this that's what I mean at the beginning when I said this whole process of being loose with ourselves, being kind of not so. Because I get really rigid, and that's my default thing is I'm very pattern based. I'm very habit based. So I want ritual. I eat the same thing, and I've ate the same thing for breakfast for years and years and years. Pretty much. So I am such a creature. So to loosen this and to see where I'm casually defending, where I'm casually, like make it subtler and bullet pack in subtler and subtler and subtler ways in which I am I avoiding or am I participating? Am I keeping things hidden? Because that's a sense of defense as well. You hide
Sure.
what you hide. So this casual hiding or casual, for me, it's exaggeration. You heard me today, like I'm 6'2". I've had that habit all my life. I exaggerate. But it's not even it's not even like necessary. It doesn't prove my point or anything. It's never necessary. So quickly realizing that is a defense. That's defensive.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciated you're taking that back immediately, because I mean, I think that's what's called for when we find ourselves being defensive. Just taking it back in whatever way that's appropriate for the defense.
That's that idea that she says it's simple. The teacher of God models simplicity.
Yeah.
Because I mean, don't these like old, like the monk on the hill, or the secluded monk, or the old teacher, the old man teacher, the wise man, isn't everything so simple? They have a backpack, a pipe, a bowl, and they live in everything is like that stereotype of the hermit or the woman who lives simply, frugal. All of this, it's again and again and again and again we hear this, to live simply, to not complicate our lives, because we know how to be, once we let go of trying to manipulate others or trying to defend against our own way that we want
what is there to do?
Our own our own favorite suffering. I have a friend who says that, I have favorite fears. She goes, I have favorite fears that I go back to again and again and again. So it's like, yeah, I think maybe we all have that.
I thought maybe we should invite other folks to comment.
This was a short one. We'd love to hear if it had some impression on anyone. That would be lovely.
Okay, yeah. Rev Yolanda, please.
Let's see if she can do this.
This was so fascinating. Such a really great discussion, because helping me realize where I defend, and Jacquelyn, I just want to thank you. Just your encouragement to just let it go. I really loved it when you leaned back and said, I could just float down the river. Like, yeah, it really is that simple. And one thing I like about being up here, I'm in Vermont and Glen's in Brooklyn, is just our little shack. There's nothing here hardly, and we don't have running water and anything like that. And it's just like, wow. Now this is, I actually can live this way, if I need to, or whatever, like what Glen just said about the bowl and the bag and this, I really can live very simply. It's amazing what we don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had an experience here with some people driving, and they were tailgating me and this, that, and the other. And while you were talking about just letting all of these things go, I realized that that's why I had the problem, because I wasn't letting it go. I was making such an issue about them tailgating me, and they shouldn't do that, because this is Vermont, and Vermont's a nice place, and people act, it's not the city, and people shouldn't act that way. And I created this whole story,
We did.
And it really upset me. And I was like, good grief, you just helped me unlock it. And so I was like, wow, that's what it was. I was I was having some kind of defense there, and I had to control. And they, whipped around me and flipped me off and yelled at me and everything. And I was just like, wow, I was so hurt. You know?
Because you're a nice person. You're a nice person. You were not driving around.
I know, I shouldn't, nobody should do that to me. I'm nice, you know, like just so much weirdness, just so much egoic stuff, you know. And I just found this conversation really refreshing and helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Rev Yolanda. Yeah, you know, traffic is a great place to practice, isn't it? You know, it's like you have often heard me talk about Dr. David Hawkins saying, okay, we're running out of time, so let's slow down. It's the same thing with traffic, right? You know, that guy's trying to get ahead of me, so let me slow down, because I can tell you that's not my impulse. But just to give up that ground can be, Thank you for your comment.
Who else?
Cindy.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because these days I don't ever know where I'm going to be. And Shauna knows I'm usually asleep by now. So when I heard I was coming here, I started laughing. But maybe it's because, you know, I'm in the middle of nowhere and there was no traffic when somebody honked and gave me the finger yesterday. And I looked and I started laughing hysterically because I was like, oh, yeah, this is an insane world. I can't expect sane responses because there was literally, we weren't even in the same lane. There was no, other than he must have thought I was somebody else. It had nothing to do with the roads. So I'm just, I'm just putting everything in the washing machine. Yeah. I wanted to show you the cat was sitting next to me for a while.
Aww.
But she laughed. And I'm just loving the fact that I have to remember, I don't have to do anything. I could just,
I love it.
Come out to Colorado and get a kayak and find
Come on out here. We'll go kayaking.
I'm going to be there before long. I'm just saying thank you. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Cindy, for being here and for your comments. Hey, Glinda. The other, what you mentioned, I'm sorry, I lost it for a minute, but it's back. You know, this idea that it should make sense is just another, foolish guardian, if you will, right? Because it's an insane world is a perfect response. Mm-hmm. It's an insane world. Now, am I hearing the wind blow and am I seeing the river run or whatever it is?
Grotesque dreams.
Yeah. For the record, I was on my way to the river and I saw a bald eagle, a blue heron, and a white egret and baby geese. So that's exactly how I responded to the honk and the finger yesterday. So
it's funny. That was your first bird you saw, right?
Collection. I'll collect birds.
Oh,
brilliant.
It looks like we've come to the end of another hour. What do you think, Glenn?
I think so. In our defenselessness, our safety lies. And it's wonderful to live in a world to be somebody who doesn't need defense. I don't need to defend my existence, But let's do this.
Play our outro. Thanks.
You bet.
Love you all. See you next time. Mwah.
You've been listening to Herein Lies the Peace of God with Reverend Jacquelyn Eckert and Reverend Glen Ganaway. To find out more about Jacquelyn and to donate to Awakening Together Sanctuary, go to www.awakening-together.org. To find out more about Glen and to donate to the Mighty Companions Ministries, go to www.glenganaway.com. That's GLENGANAWAY.com.